Hi, it's Seavey and Perry on Culture. I'm Todd Seavey. This is Gerard Perry. And amongst other things, we're talking about UFOs and the supernatural this time, which sounds a little embarrassing. I swear I'm a skeptic. I don't believe in any of that stuff. However, there's an interesting new documentary out called Mirage Men, and it's arguing not that the aliens are coming to abduct you, but that the government is really interested in the topic and may deploy disinformation agents to go out and spread nonsense amongst UFO buffs.
Back in the early 80s, it was my job to confuse the UFO community. And it was very easy to convince Paul. Paul was a World War II veteran. He's very patriotic. He always flew his flag. Those type of people you can convince that, listen, you can't tell anybody else about this because this, you could get in the wrong hands.
Would we use perception to help shroud what we're trying to protect? Absolutely. If you've got an aerial platform that is highly advanced and the public who happens to get a glimpse of the thing, if they're convinced that it's from Venus and there's no way it could be our military, well, hey, that's awesome. Hell yes.
But this documentary talks for 2 hours to a guy named Richard Doty, interviews him about how it was supposedly his job to go feed bits of info to UFO fanatics and make them think like, oh, the government might have aliens, it might not, and he drove a guy insane. Apparently one guy, tantalized by these bits of info, lost his mind. And it's unclear even now whether Richard Doty has stopped lying. I mean, he was a professional disinformation agent, supposedly. Maybe that's not even true. Maybe he was just a psychotic doing this on his own time. But how do you know now if he's telling the truth? And the weirdest part is, at the end of the documentary, he suggests that now he's starting to think there are aliens, even though his whole job for years was supposedly to make the UFO believers look like idiots. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Doty had this wonderful way to sell it. I'm with the government, you cooperate with us, and I'm going to tell you what the government really knows about UFOs deep down in those vaults.
It does seem like they overthought this issue, though, just a little bit, focusing their resources on people that don't really pose a threat. It doesn't sound that implausible, though, when you think about it. The government intentionally driving people who are already delusional, completely insane, and off their rockers.
I guess the important thing from my perspective is to keep in mind that skepticism isn't a precise checklist of what exists and what doesn't. It's a reminder to always have really high standards of evidence, especially for extraordinary claims. And in the case of the hovering black triangles, it seems like there actually is pretty good evidence. We've got like multiple witnesses, expert witnesses, civilians, radar readings, both on the ground and from planes. So it seems like something's there. Again, probably military. And there are a few other cases like that where there's some odd flashing lights and they've been seen by normal people and on radar, but could be military drones or something like that.
I think there's a difference between some of these claims by paranormal experts, quote unquote, or cryptozoologists, and things and theories that haven't been verified, but hold some substantive evidence. For example, I watched a documentary on PBS. There's a program called Secrets of the Dead, and they explored the claims that the ancient Carthaginian civilization, after it was destroyed, the remnants of it, which wasn't enslaved, had fled to South America and reestablished itself based on certain stone markers and characters and languages that were similar, not identical, but similar to the script that the Carthaginians used. And it hasn't been proven. There's a lot of substance to these assertions, at least. I mean, it seems more likely than the people who say they've been probed by someone from Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, and we can find some of the reports of odd drone-like things flying around plausible without believing every abduction story. In fact, I would say, as a general rule, if your paranormal story involves supposedly waking up in the middle of the night and having something weird happen, pretty good odds you were dreaming. I mean, that would just seem like one of the more obvious explanations. And I will just say in conclusion that regardless of whether these strange drones and triangular craft exist, I think we do have to put the final nail in the coffin of belief in Bigfoot, though. Just recently, as we record this, Spike TV offered $10 million if somebody could show evidence of a Bigfoot, and still they didn't get one. I think, you know, by basic free market economic principles, we have to conclude that Bigfoot almost certainly doesn't exist. And of course,
I don't think Bigfoot hunters do it for the love of money, though. They do it for their love of bizarre, wildly implausible theories around ape men.
well, they could have added $10 million to their incentives if they had wanted to in this case.
For further research.
Nobody did. And similarly, the James Randi Educational Foundation has a standing prize of over $1 million to anyone who can demonstrate any kind of psychic powers. No one has claimed the prize. So I think you can write off psychics, you can write off Bigfoot. I think you can write off the alien abduction stories if they happened in the middle of the night and it could have just been a dream. But we'll keep taking a look at those drone things and triangles and flashing lights in the sky, if only to figure out what the government is up to. And that's it for us. Seavey and Perry on Culture. See you next time.